G'day Beaks and Beaks to Bee. Are you curious about learning more about beekeeping? I have been a beekeeper for over 55 years and rearing queen bees since the 1980s.
When I met Alan through my local beekeeping club, I knew nothing about bees.
Right, this particular hive, as with all the hives in this particular apiary, we're going into the brood chamber, checking for disease and also lifting frames of sealed brood to keep the bee numbers up. So we've got high numbers of bees for bringing in nectar. The idea is, as we check each frame for brood, the months are on the back that they'll put in the brood chamber, so that's irrespective depending on how they're going. This was a foundation that was put in 4 weeks ago, so it's total brood. So we'll put that up even though it's only been in the brood chamber once, if it needs to be to make up the 4 frames that we're going to put up in the honey super above the excluder. These are the 4 frames here that we've picked out. They're going to be exchanged for the brood frames that's in the brood chamber.
So with this frame, like with every frame you pull out of the brood chamber, a natural thing should be to scan for any pinholes. So by pinholes we mean, say, some sealed brood, and in the centre will be a pinhole, and that has been where a bee has actually noticed that brood has not hatched, and they've started to tear open the capping to find out what's wrong. If you see that, you must go in and investigate. If you find a coffee-coloured, sticky, ropey substance, it's pretty likely you've got some form of foul brood, AFB, and that's a serious cause for concern. If you open it up to find a pearly white larvae, it's simply a grub that's being that is incubating. So on this next frame of brood we've investigated, we have looked over and noticed 2 little pinholes. That's what you're looking for. There's a pinhole in that cell and a pinhole in that cell. Now, as I open the capping, I have a few choices of what I could see. Let's find out whether it's a cause for concern or not. Oh, and we see a pearly white grub. That is healthy brood. So therefore it's probably just getting capped over in the last few minutes. You notice it was literally a pinhole. If you follow my tool over this way, you'll find one that's slightly bigger, still a cause for concern. Check it out. Same thing again, simply one that was about to be capped. Over here, you'll also notice this bulbous cell. That is currently a play cell, but what we'll do is we'll tear that down and we find that it's empty. So therefore it was just a play cell. It's a queen cell without an egg, therefore it wasn't going to do anything in its current state. However, it is possible for an egg to be transferred into it. So we simply destroy that and any other play cells we find.
Right, turn her over. One on the other side there too. Down the bottom.
Over. This one here, we can see it looks slightly fresher and it's a bit more elongated. So we'll see there's an egg in there. And there's an egg. If you look very closely at the tip of my hive tool, you'll see an egg placed in there. So that's the kind of thing that can obviously turn into a queen cell and cause dramas with your current queen.
Your little stick there, just see the edge of it there, yeah. Yep, see the edge, yep. Stop.
So here's a reminder on how to arrange or rearrange your brood super when you are making brood lifts. You want to have some sealed brood, a frame of mostly sealed brood on the outside, because once they're sealed, there's no more work for them to do and they don't require as much warmth as eggs. Second and third in, we will place our foundation or stickies, depending on what we have available. So there we've got a foundation second and a sticky third. And then once I'm finished arranging this, in the center here, I will place my eggs or semi-sealed brood or hatchlings, and then sticky foundation, and then another sealed brood. And that's the way your brood super should look when you've made those brood lifts.
Finishing the super, all the frames should be tied together, with the excess space on the outside walls.
Now, something that's quite often overlooked is that if I was to get a frame out of the bottom and place her into the middle super, if I don't have my queen caged, I've got to shake all these bees off and place them in the middle super. However, we have found the queen, and therefore these bees can keep doing what they're doing on the frame as I place it into the middle super as a brood. Minimal disruption.
Yeah, just mark those frames.
Yes, which one have you got?
Scratch them and mark them. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, if there's one thing that you don't want to get wrong or don't want to forget when you do brood lifts, is that in 5 to 7 days time, come back and check the frames you lifted for rogue queen cells. To make it easy, we mark those frames with a B, which stands for brood. And what we do is have a look and see whether or not there are any rogue queen cells on those frames, and we destroy them.
Action.
And then we have our rearranged brood super, and in the brood super we'll mark the month and the year in which those new brood frames were placed. So when we come back in the future, we can tell the progress of those new frames. And in the brood super, we squeeze all our frames together. This helps keep warmth in and also reduces the chance of drone comb being built, because there isn't as much room for that comb to be built through. We found this highly successful in keeping nice tight brood supers to get lots and lots of bees.
Also, it reduces the amount of burr comb that can be drawn between your frames.